If you ever just choose one brand over another, you can't really explain why. They seem pretty much the same, but one just feels right. Well, that feeling, that's what we're digging into today. We're going on a journey into the world of qualitative research, which is really just a fancy way of saying we're going to uncover the hidden reasons we do the things we do.
Seriously, think about it for a sec. That coffee you have to have every morning, your favorite car, even a pair of jeans. A lot of the time, we're not just running down a checklist of features. We're going with our gut. But where does that gut feeling even come from? And for the companies making this stuff, how on earth do they figure it out?
Okay, this is the perfect story to kick us off. Ford, right? They're designing a new Taurus, and on paper, this car is a masterpiece. It's safe, it's engineered beautifully, but when they show it to people, they hate it. And you know why? The sound of the door closing. It just didn't have that satisfying solid thud. So even though the car was perfectly safe, it felt flimsy. A tiny little detail, a feeling, completely torpedoed all the facts and figures.
So to really get what's going on in our heads, we have to look past the spreadsheets and the raw data. We need to go beyond the numbers. We need a totally different set of tools to get to the story behind it all. And that brings us to the two big ways researchers look at the world. On one side, you've got quantitative research. Think quantity. It's all about numbers, stats, measuring things. It's great for answering how many or how often. But then you have qualitative research. This isn't about counting, it's about understanding. It's the part that asks the most important question of all, why?
All right, so here's the textbook definition. The key word here is exploratory. I like to think of it like a detective showing up at a crime scene. You're not trying to convict anyone yet, you're just looking around. You're gathering clues, you're looking for insights, you're trying to get a feel for what really happened, usually by talking to a handful of people.
So, how does this detective work start? Well, the most obvious way is to just ask people. Researchers call this the direct approach. It's pretty straightforward. Everyone involved knows exactly what the study is about.
And the most famous tool for this is the focus group. I'm sure you've heard of them. You get about 8 to 12 people together in a room. They're all carefully chosen because they have something in common. You put them in a relaxed, informal setting for a couple of hours and let a trained moderator guide the conversation. The whole point is to get people to open up and share what they're really thinking.
Now, don't let the relaxed setting fool you. This is anything but a casual chat. It is a super structured process. Researchers map everything out, from the big picture objectives down to the specific questions they need answers to. The moderator has a detailed outline, and after the discussion, every word is analyzed. It's a precise operation designed to mine for those golden nuggets of insight.
But what if a group setting isn't right? What if you need to go deeper? Well, that's where depth interviews come in. This is just one-on-one. It allows a really skilled interviewer to gently probe into someone's personal stories, their motivations, all the stuff they probably wouldn't share with a room full of strangers.
And Sony, they absolutely nailed this with the PlayStation 3. Through these deep one-on-one interviews, they found out that for adults, gaming wasn't just a silly pastime. Look at this. It was about connecting with friends, it was a mental workout like a puzzle, and importantly, it made them feel like they were doing something mature, not just playing a kid's game. For Sony's marketing team, this was pure gold.
Okay, so just asking people works. Sometimes. But let's be real. What happens when the answers are buried? What happens when people either don't want to tell you the truth, or maybe they don't even know it themselves? This is where it gets really, really interesting, because so often the real reasons we do things are locked away in our subconscious. I mean, come on, we all do it. Nobody wants to say, yeah, I bought this flashy car because I'm having a midlife crisis. It's way easier to rationalize it, to say, oh, I got a great deal on the financing. We're just not wired to discuss our deepest insecurities or sensitive feelings openly. So if you ask a direct question about that stuff, you're probably going to hit a brick wall. And that means researchers need a different kind of map to find the truth. We've talked about the direct road. Now we're going to take a detour down this other path you see here, the indirect route. This is how we sneak past our own mental defenses to find out what's really going on.
And this indirect approach, it has this amazing set of tools, almost like a psychological toolkit designed specifically to get a peek into our subconscious. It's all about finding out what people really feel, not just what they say they feel.
These tools are called projective techniques, and the idea behind them is so clever. Instead of asking you a direct question, a researcher will give you something ambiguous, something incomplete. like an unfinished sentence or a vague picture. And by asking you to finish it or explain it, you can't help but project your own hidden beliefs and feelings onto the situation to make sense of it.
Let's look at a classic example from a detergent study. Researchers just gave women a word and asked for the first thing that popped into their head. Check out the difference here. The stimulus word is wash day. For Mrs. M, the first word is every day, which sounds like a relentless, never-ending chore, right? But for Mrs. C, it's ironing, part of an orderly, satisfying process. With just one word, you can already sense two totally different emotional worlds when it comes to laundry.
Or how about this one from DuPont? They were researching pantyhose, and they uncovered something incredible. For many women, it wasn't just about looking professional. Deep down, wearing them made them feel more attractive, even sexy. And this was a game changer. It meant that a run in their pantyhose wasn't just an inconvenience, it was an emotional gut punch that completely destroyed that feeling of confidence.
You can also do this with pictures. A motorcycle company wanted to know what their customers really wanted from their bikes. So instead of asking about engine size, they showed them these powerful, abstract images, fighters, superheroes. And they just asked, which one of these feels like riding your bike? And just like that, they tapped right into the fantasy, the identity, the raw emotion that the bike represented. So cool.
And then you have something like the cartoon test. This one's almost playful. You show someone a simple cartoon and ask them to fill in the empty thought bubble. But it's super effective. See, it's a lot easier for us to project our real feelings onto a cartoon character than it is to say something critical out loud as our own opinion. It's a clever way to get an honest answer.
So, these psychological tricks are fascinating, right? But the big question is, does all this digging around in our subconscious actually do anything? Does it matter in the real world? Oh, you bet it does. Let's connect all the dots. That DuPont insight about feeling sexy, they used it to create whole ad campaigns for both the power executive and the cocktail dress moments. Procter & Gamble used what they learned about laundry emotions to create completely different brands like Gain and Tide that appealed to different people, leading to billions in sales. And Sony? They took what they learned and successfully marketed the PS3 not as a toy, but as a sophisticated social hub for adults. These deep insights lead directly to massive success.
And that's really the whole point. Qualitative research is how we find the why. It's the secret sauce. It's how companies stop just selling a list of features and start creating things that actually connect with us as human beings. It's all about understanding the story we tell ourselves when we make a choice.
Which, of course, leaves us with one last question to chew on. The next time you grab that product that just feels right, maybe pause for a second. Ask yourself, what's the real story here? What hidden, subconscious reasons are actually driving your choices?